I actually had a bit of writer's block recently. I got the new video out that I spent a lot of time on and everything, and like I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do next. I have ideas, but like I didn't know which one to do next. And someone suggested to me like to take a new approach and do a different kind of series because I'd been doing the highly edited video essays and everything. And those are great, and those have been going really well, but like, I really wanted to do something new, test my boundaries, maybe do an unscripted video, but I didn't know what about. Like, I racked my mind and I was like, I don't know what to talk about. Then I woke up this morning and the new series of Kamen Rider got announced out of nowhere. And yeah, that seems like a pretty good place to start to me. So yeah, this is going to be a really quick, not very highly edited video, where I talk about the new Kamen Rider series that got announced, Kamen Rider Build. And it's an interesting one. Rest in peace, my audience who don't know what Kamen Rider is. Yeah, if you don't know what Kamen Rider is, just go and search for Kamen Rider X-Aid and you'll figure that out. So yeah, no, this is the new Kamen Rider series. It's gonna air in October 2017, I assume. That hasn't been officially confirmed yet, but you know, going by the pattern, we can pretty reliably say that'll be when it starts airing. The design looks a lot like Kamen Rider Double, like a lot like Kamen Rider Double. Like everyone on my newsfeed has been like, yeah, this looks a lot like Kamen Rider Double, both in the appearance of the rider and the way the power-ups work. So basically, in Kamen Rider Double, what the characters would do is the suit was split in half, and you use, because I recently started watching Kamen Rider Double recently, the suit is like split in half, and like you could use two different things and like two different Gaia memories, and one would change one half of the suit and the other would change the other. And the point of the series was to like find out which combinations work best and everything, and it was cool. This looks like it does the exact same thing, which I'm not against, but it is an interesting thing to note. Kamen Rider doesn't really tend to use very similar gimmicks very often. Although, to be fair, I guess the Gashettes were kind of like Locksteeds, especially with the way the final form worked and everything. But that paired up with the appearance being so similar and the announcement of the new continuation of Double, yeah, and also the fact that this is going to be supposedly the last series in the Heisei era, or the Neo-Heisei era. Yeah, that makes me think interesting things are going to happen in this series, and maybe the two things being so closely connected isn't a coincidence. I mean, I doubt it's a coincidence, but I'm not exactly expecting this to be like a crossover filled series like Decade was either. In fact, I'd rather this series would be nothing like Decade, to be honest. So yeah, it is really interesting. When I woke up and I thought, because like for a while there were a bunch of silhouettes like they released a silhouette of the rider that when I first saw it I was like, that's fake as hell. But then I genuinely saw the real magazine scans and I was like, oh no, that's real. That silhouette's real. And because of that, a lot of people have been drawing like fan art of what the silhouette really looks like. With this series, the fans have been really good at like finding out information about it, because like a lot of people managed to get on set, and so a bunch of artists like drew up what the people on set saw. And yeah, they got pretty close. This rider is half blue and half red. That's like his main thing. He's got like the stripes going down him, looking kind of like a spring, honestly, which he does actually have springs in his leg because his main form is Rabbit Tank. Again, he, just like Double, he has two power-ups that he uses at once that combine to make one form, and his main one is Tank Rabbit, because from the looks of things in this series, most of the power-ups are going to be a combination between an inanimate object and an animal, which is weird, because I don't think we've had an animal-themed rider yet, other than the traditional, like, insects, grasshoppers, that kind of thing. But, like, in Sentai and Power Rangers, we get a lot of those kind of animal forms and stuff, but we don't really get that much in Kamen Rider, so it's going to be interesting to see that here. Like, we've already got Rabbit, Gorilla, Hedgehog, we've got Ninja. Ninja isn't exactly an animal, but I guess I know what they're going for there. A lot of people really wanted the series to be ninja themed. That didn't end up happening, but at least we got a power-up related to one. And then we've also got some inanimate objects as well, like diamonds, tanks, Gatling gun, comic book. And we've also got 3 riders already too, which is interesting because a lot of time, like, I would say rider series is like split into 2 different types. There's like the one where there aren't that many riders, like maybe you'll get 3 by the end. I'm thinking something along the lines of Ghost and Drive, where like, I mean, I know they had more riders than that, but like they had 3 main ones by the end, and like they were very kind of focused. But then there were also the ones like Gaim and Xaid, or Ryuki, where it's like a bunch of riders just all fighting each other. And the fact that we've already got 3 revealed for this series makes me think this is going to be the latter, where there's going to be a lot of the riders fighting each other. Because if there's only ever going to be around about 3 riders in the entire series, why reveal all of them this early on? You know, adding new riders in later on seems to be a mainstay of this kind of series. So it wouldn't make sense for them to reveal this many this early on unless they were going to reveal more. Which again, it was something very similar to what they did with Xaid, because I was around when Xaid was announced and they revealed the first 3 riders from that series right off the bat. And that series has got a bunch now. It's got way more. In fact, I think they announced the first 4 riders, where they announced Laser as well. However, back then he was just a motorbike. He wasn't really a rider, which was great. But yeah, and then so we've got those other 2 riders, and the secondary rider is called Kamen Rider Close. I'm not the biggest fan of his design. Like, because with Build, I first saw his design, like, because, coming back to something I just said, people made like fan art and stuff of the silhouette, and I actually thought the fan art looked a little bit better than the official thing for a while. But no, the official one has grown on me a bit. I feel like it is just like the adjustment period of going from the fan art to the official design. So I do like Build's design a lot more now. I originally didn't like the idea of the antenna and the visor being connected, but I like it now. It's new and interesting and different, and the visor represents the different power-ups that he's using, because his visor is a tank and a rabbit, if you couldn't guess. But the secondary rider, I don't like his design. It's a bit too convoluted and jaggy, and just it doesn't look too interesting. Maybe I'm not one to like jump to conclusions and say, ooh, this Kamen Rider related thing's garbage, because Kamen Rider is the kind of franchise that has like earned my benefit of the doubt for now. So all we've seen is a low quality drawing of him from a leaked catalog. He'll probably look far better in the actual show. So I'm gonna say I don't like him for now, but I'm willing to change my mind once shown more stuff to do with him. And then we also get Kamen Rider Night Rogue, who is the anti-hero rider. That's what he's described as, which is cool. I like having villain riders, but it's interesting that it says he's an anti-hero rather than just an outright villain. So he isn't probably going to be like Kamen Rider Gem, who for the longest time was the main villain of Xaid. It looks like this guy's just an anti-hero, which, I mean, that might... it's weird wording. We can't really figure out, especially considering it's weird wording translated from Japanese wording, which means I could have got all this information completely wrong, but I trust my sources. Yeah, so he's an anti-hero, which means that he's probably going to be not the outright villain, but he's going to be like making life difficult for the main 2 riders. I assume the secondary rider is going to be the usual, like, you know, he's not quite as upbeat and optimistic as the main rider, but like he'll still be the good guy, definitely. Whereas Night Rogue will just be getting in the way and making things difficult for everyone intentionally. Probably having his own kind of motivation that's more selfish than the others. I like his design. His design's cool. It's like a mix between Kamen Rider Kiva and Batman. And it's cool. I like it. It looks very much like Square Enix Batman, where it's like overly designed, but still looks cool. I like that a lot. Because like he's the anti-hero, and so his design looks very different to Build. And I like that the way that the design would... The differences of design could also be similar to the conflict of their ideals. I really like that a lot. I like stuff like that, where the design kind of represents the character. And certainly isn't a subtle example of that. It's one that works, and it's still interesting. And no doubt he'll also look way better in motion than he does on the catalog page. So the fact that I already like his design is great. Let's see, whatever stuff. The belt. How could I forget about the belt? The Kamen Rider build driver. Of course, the belt is always the main transformation device. This one still looks very similar to the double one, but I think it does enough different to warrant its existence. I like the look of it. It looks cool. So it's got the two bits to put the bottles in, which we'll get to in a sec. The two gimmicks in. And then you have a wheel and you have like a crank. So it looks like you put the two things in and then like you turn the crank to spin the wheel, which I assume mixes the contents of the bottle. As well as the thing just looking nice. It just looks nice. Like, don't get me wrong, I liked X-Aid's whole like gaudy on purpose belt. But I think this one looks really nice. It's got like, it looks complicated enough. Like, because I didn't like Ghost's one. Ghost's one was just too simple. You just put a thing in a thing and it works, you know? This looks like you got to put two things in and then you got to turn the thing. And yeah, I like that a lot more. And again, it just looks nicely designed. It looks really sleek. And that's something that Kamen Rider build in general seems to be going for. Very kind of sleek and stylish and cool looking. And everything serves a really good purpose, which is great. So let's get to the bottles then. I feel like the bottles are the last big piece of information we've got so far. So it's rumored that this series is based off of scientists. The main character is going to be a scientist, which I'm kind of doubtful of. Again, I don't know if I trust this one, so take this one with a pinch of salt. Because first of all, I mean, the series is called Kamen Rider Build, so when like the title was first announced, I assumed it was going to be, you know, about a builder, a construction worker. Maybe the main weapon would be a wrench, and his helmet would have like a hard hat built into it or something. Nope, doesn't look like that at all, which I'm kind of glad of, honestly. So instead it's going to be about a scientist, and again, take that with a pinch of salt, because the currently airing series is about doctors who also wear white lab coats and everything, so I feel like it's kind of similar. But basically the gist is that the main character is a scientist who makes these bottles that have like chemicals in them that are the power-ups, and so he puts the spray bottles into the transformation device to transform. So I can kind of get the gist of like, oh, he's got these spray bottles that he made himself that he uses to transform and create power-ups and stuff. And I like the idea of him making his own power-ups and all that other stuff. Like it just like everything feels natural and kind of flows together with him being the Kamen Rider and also being a scientist and making his own power-ups and so on and so forth. And that fits a lot, and I really like that. However, I doubt that that's going to happen. Everything else I said up to now is like proven fact. Like, I've got images to back it up that I've been showing throughout the video. But the thing with him being a scientist is like pure rumor and speculation. I don't have anything to back that up. But it would make sense, definitely, with the whole him making the spray bottles. I mean, the bottles are definitely true. It's just him being a scientist that creates the bottles isn't provable at the moment. So yeah, no, that's Kamen Rider Build. It's going to start in October, I assume. And it looks great. I mean, it's Kamen Rider, so I was going to watch it as it was airing anyway. But this looks like it's going to turn out to be a really interesting series, which it kind of has to if it's going to be the last of this era. Which, if you're into Kamen Rider, you'll know that the eras are really important. So, yeah, no, I'm really interested to see how this one works out. And my dog is now barking. It looks like an interesting one.